Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Steelers Senior Bowl thoughts. Top targets emerge for Pittsburgh in NFL draft. The Pittsburgh Steelers have to build a core they can win within the NFL, so they are placing a premium on the NFL draft. Team president Rooney too acknowledged the NFL draft as a huge way for the team to build in what is a retooling period for the Steelers despite their playoff aspirations. With that in mind, here are some takeaways from the second Senior Bowl practice. The Steelers are still focused on defensive line. Expect them to do that in this draft. It is too deep of a group, and a double dip makes some sense. However, they did not just focus on the defensive line, but moved towards wide receivers, too. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith and general manager Omar Khan heavily watched the wide receivers while Mike Tomlin flipped back and forth between the defensive line and wide receivers. Today, Tomlin seemed extra active with both groups, even challenging some players to go against one another in one-on-ones. The Steelers' top two priorities remain wide receiver and defensive line. Two players that Tomlin seemed to pay close attention to were TCU wide receiver Jack Beck and Kentucky defensive tackle Deone Walker. I tend to put less stock into that stuff than others. Watching positions is more important than talking to the players since Tomlin does that all the time in mobile, but it is notable to at least take a look at it. Maryland wide receiver Ty Felton is fun. He is likely going to run in the 4.3s, and on top of that, he has excellent ball tracking. Right now, most expect him to land in the third round, but there is a better player than that in here. The production in college is not eye-popping, which is likely why he has not received considerable hype, but he is an excellent player. For Pittsburgh, he makes a lot of sense. Kansas Devin Neal and Virginia Tech Spatial Tootin are two running backs who fit the Steelers' zone scheme perfectly. Others, such as Delaware's Marcus Yarns and UCF's R.J. Harvey, fit the mold, too. Tootin is a speedster that reminds me of Willie Parker in many ways. He was the Hokies' offense in 2024, and he could be the home run hitter for the Steelers. Neal is less of a home run threat but has a patience that fits perfectly with what the Steelers want to do as a zone running team, and he might just be the best running back here. The cornerback talent here is absurd. I really like Louisville's Quincy Riley. He is a sticky man coverage cornerback that reminds me a lot of these slot cornerbacks coming into the NFL nowadays that start from day one and contribute. He will test well and fly up boards, so he is likely a second-day pick, but I can see the Steelers falling in love with his man coverage ability and taking him. On the other hand, Virginia Tech's Dorian Strong is the type of press-man coverage corner I love. He is patient, clean and generally solid. The measurables will be just okay, and Strong's game is not that flashy, but he has an incredibly high floor as a prospect, and that is something I value. He has great situation awareness and continues to perform well. Oregon's Jamari Caldwell is not getting enough love. He is not as flashy as Derek Harmon or Jordan Birch, but Caldwell has excellent burst and is a plugger in the run game. I think he should rise over the process, and if the Steelers want to double dip with an upside nose tackle, Caldwell makes a lot of sense. The quarterbacks here are just not that good. Jalen Milroe continues to struggle to hit anyone of note. He has overthrown far too many passes. Tyler Shaw and Dylan Gabriel have their moments, but they can be late processing or have spotty accuracy. Jackson Dart has some moxie and makes some dynamite throws, but the consistency is not all there. This group is just not very good, and the Steelers would be wise to steer clear. Rooney reveals Steelers' plan at quarterback. The Pittsburgh Steelers are in an unenviable spot. Quarterback purgatory is among the worst places an NFL team can find itself, and another year of not quite good enough play has kept the Steelers in place. Pittsburgh got right-tail outcomes from Justin Fields and Russell Wilson in 2024. Both accepted their role as part-time passers, with Fields starting for 6 weeks until Wilson was healthy enough to make his Steelers debut. For much of the season, Pittsburgh's play under center exceeded expectations. While a 5-game losing streak ended the Steelers' season, both did enough to earn a second contract with the team. However, Pittsburgh owner Rooney too didn't seem inclined to run it back exactly how he had in 2024. On Monday, he spoke directly about the situation under center and revealed the Steelers' quarterback plan as it pertains to Wilson and Fields. "I wouldn't close the door, but I'd say it's probably unlikely," Rooney said Monday, via Brooke Pryor. "I think both of them see themselves as starters, and I don't know that they want to share the same job again next year. So, I would say most likely we probably don't wind up bringing them both back. There are several factors playing into why such a scenario is unlikely. Primarily, careers and opportunities are finite. If Wilson resigns and is benched for Fields, his career could very well be over. If Fields returns to wait his turn, there's a chance it never comes. Both proved themselves capable of being merely functional with Pittsburgh, meaning suitors should be aplenty. Further, the Steelers might not be able to afford it. Fields made just over $3 million in the final year of his rookie deal, over the cap. Wilson, on a league minimum contract, counted for $1.21 million against the cap. For top 32 quarterback play, that's an absolute bargain. But other teams will view the two as starters, and the going rate for even the worst veterans atop the depth chart is approximately $12.5 million. Simply put, these guys are going to get paid, and Pittsburgh would be better off writing checks for one passer instead of two. They're both capable quarterbacks, and my preference would be to sign one of them, Rooney said. So that'll be the priority, and I think that will give us the best opportunity to move forward. We've got a whole quarterback room to fill, and so there's jobs open in there. I wouldn't be surprised if we look in the draft as well either this year or next, and so that's got to be the priority. As Rooney noted, the other way out is through the NFL draft. It remains unlikely that Pittsburgh picks the new face of its franchise in round 1, but day 2 dart throws remain possible. That not only injects the room with optimism, but it's one less spot for either veteran to claim, too. Neither quarterback is delivering the Steelers a Super Bowl. But both have done enough to be considered a possible bridge quarterback in 2025, and how the organization opts to address the position could set the tone for the rest of its offseason additions. I thought both Russ and Justin showed promise in certain stretches during the season, and I think they're both capable of being starters in this league. So we have decisions, and they have decisions, too. Pete Carroll reveals thoughts on Russell Wilson joining Raiders. The Pittsburgh Steelers have some decisions to make under center this offseason. Both Russell Wilson and Justin Fields, the two starting quarterbacks for Pittsburgh this year, are without contracts. Wilson arrived on a 1-year deal after being thrust into free agency last offseason, and Fields played the final season of his rookie deal with the Steelers after being traded from the Bears. What's next for Pittsburgh? The team has indicated they would like to keep one, but also that it's unlikely that it will retain both. That means we might not have a repeat of last offseason when the Steelers turned over their entire quarterback room in search of a franchise signal caller. But Wilson might have other options, as his old coach from Seattle, Pete Carroll, has taken over as head coach in Las Vegas, and the Raiders are also in need of a quarterback. Would Carroll consider a reunion with Wilson in the desert? It's so early and we're just in the midst of trying to find the puzzle pieces, not even putting them together yet, so I can't even say. Free agency hasn't come yet, Carroll said. I promise you, if you're a real competitor, you're not letting options get away from you. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Russell Wilson? Leave your opinion in the comments.